You're listening the Virtual CISO Podcast, providing the best insight on information security and security IT advice to business leaders everywhere.
Hey there, and welcome to yet another episode of the Virtual CISO Podcast. With you, as always, John Verry, your host, and with me today, Thomas Kwon. Hey, Thomas.
Hello there. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation, man. Let's start simple. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what is it that you do every day.
My name is Tom Kwon. I'm the CEO of FenixPyre. We're a file-centric data security company with headquarters in Ohio. Staff all around the country. That's what I am right now. My previous experience, I cut my teeth, I guess, my bones. Maybe you were there also, but in the .com era when people were first building.
Do I look that old? You just wait a second. We're like 2 minutes into the podcast, and you're insulting the host.
I apologize.
I mean, did you just want to end the podcast now? I mean, I'm like 22 years old. 22 years old. I wasn't born in the .com era, Tom.
That's hilarious. No, that's when I cut my teeth. My first part, I connected every school and library in Connecticut to the internet. The White House took a look at that. I sold that. Ended up consulting for the White House, developing their first web infrastructure. Along the way, developed a multilingual CMS platform. Fast forward, served 8 years supporting the intelligence community. I'm currently also a under advisement task force member for U.S. Cyber Command. Whatever that means. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to share.
I'm looking forward to the conversation. I always ask before we get down to business, what's your trick of choice?
Oh, well, maybe when we have that lunch next week. Recently, it's been this gin called Empress, IMPRESS. I'm not, promoting it. Of course, it's not healthy for the mind, but it's a delicious elderberry infused gin.
I will pick up a bottle because my wife is my family. My wife and son are both gin drinkers.
Okay.
And they tend towards the drier gins, the Hendrix, the Beefeaters, and things of that nature. My son was recently in Iceland, I guess it was. He brought back this. I forget the name of it. It's a purple. It's a gin that changes color.
Yeah, this is it.
It might have been the same. It might have been the same. Might have been the same one then, or maybe the same branch. Maybe not the same.
I know that it changes color. Yeah.
All right. So that's fun.
Yes.
Yeah. That's hysterical. That we'd end up like in such short order both drinking something that's pretty cool.
You know what? It's got an indigo hue to it. So
yes.
It's not drink.
If I had more time, I'd run out to the liquor cabinet right now and take a look at it. But I don't think. I mean, people barely tolerate me at this point, and any longer than necessary, it's going to go that way. All right, so let's get down to business here.
Yeah.
You mentioned file level security. That's what I'd like to chat about, and inherently file level security makes sense to me because risk is tied to information, and the most common unit of information is a file. Right. So if putting the lock, if you will, on as discrete an element as is possible, fundamentally makes sense to me. So I'm excited to have this conversation and find out if I'm as smart as I think I am. So tell me, what is file level security, and how is it different from historically more traditional, perimeter network device-based security models?
Yeah. So that umbrella, I guess it's called the elephant in the room, DLP, data loss prevention. Traditional security is based on thicker doors, bigger locks, access and control. Who gets access to what data? And it's pretty simple if you think about it. And all the vendors with their amazing marketing teams all say, we lock down your sensitive files. We lock down your files, right? So that's traditional perimeter-based security. It's akin to having a big castle, moats, drawbridges, and even guards. But if somebody gets inside your castle, you're a trusted visitor or member, and you have access to everything that's in that castle. In this case, a file folder, a network share drive, or folders in the cloud. And organizations like law firms have to legally hold on to case files for 7+ years, right? 5 to 7 years by law. And over time, that's grown to be very large. I'm talking in the tunes of 450 terabytes of very sensitive data. The only thing protecting it is basically access and control in perimeter-based security. What we do is we bring security right down to the folder, down to the file level. And our IP is a very dynamic and advanced key management solution that provides a new key, a new master key for every single file that's either edited or opened and or closed. So we keep the files encrypted at rest, whether it's on your premises, in the cloud, on your phone, in transit, secure sharing when you're emailing it, and then even while in use. And so that's a huge difference between file level security and perimeter-based security, right? Perimeter is you just have big doors. File level is even if somebody has valid credentials, and that's how these breaches happen, by the way. It's stolen credentials. They get inside your network. They go into your LDAP directory, and they're accessing your files. So what we do is, even if that happened, those files, the theft is just basically ciphertext.
Yeah, a couple of things you said that were interesting. Oh no, that was good. A couple of things you said that were very interesting. So, in a weird way, many breaches are authorized, unauthorized access.
Yeah,
right. Which I've never really quite thought of exactly that way. That's pretty cool. The other
I'm
thing
going to
which is
use that
interesting.
if I can. Is that all
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you can. I just 10% tithing for any money you make
No
off of
problem.
it. Yeah. And then the second thing is that I thought was interesting is the way you talked about the difference is the way you hear zero trust talked about.
Yeah.
So do you perceive file-based security as being either integral to or consistent with a zero trust architecture?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our entire architecture at the core is zero trust. So we have a set of master keys, but the customers bring their own hardware security module with their own set of keys.
Okay.
So we don't have access to any of our customers' data. Only they have access to it. We have a rollout or de-rollout button as well, so that you can very easily decrypt the files in scale. And the only thing that we actually store is a 64 kilobyte alphanumeric identifier for each of those files. So we're not storing your files, so our cost of doing business is a lot lower than some of the bigger, older guys.
Okay. All right. So let's take a step back for a second, because you are talking about some of the benefits and explaining some of the things in a way which understanding the overall architecture of the solution probably would be beneficial to someone listening.
Yeah.
So at a 10,000 foot level,
Yeah.
right? It just explained the architecture so that someone who's listening can kind of put these pieces together.
Sure. It's a SaaS-based platform. It's multi-redundant, kind of akin to the internet. So if one deployment goes down, another takes over. That's to start. It's SaaS-based. We have a very advanced rules and policy engine that integrates directly into identity access management, whether it's Okta or Active Directory. And our encryption is AES 256, military grade 140-2 modules. And we encrypt every single file in scale. And what we also do is we generate a master key for every single one of those files. And we scale into the billions. And so when that file is sitting inside your network shared drive or on your hard drive, on your computer, your laptop, or in the cloud, we're able to secure those, encrypt those files where they sit and even wherever they travel to. So I think the magic with FenixPyre is that we don't, for the end user, it's you're opening the files, interacting with the files with your native application. Whatever those files are, we're agnostic. We have, CAD files, heavy duty CAD files. We have, voice recordings from a hotel that's taking customer data on the phone, and get off the phone, it encrypts the data. So our security travels wherever they are and wherever they reside. without storing those files.
Okay, so if I was going to oversimplify this,
Yeah.
right? Someone provisions themselves on your platform.
Yeah.
Transparently to me, based on my having access to said files, those files are going to end up encrypted, strongly encrypted. That encryption stays with the file, right? If I try to open the file, it's transparent to me what happens. I go to open the file does a lookup effectively up to validate that I have access to it, decrypts it, displays it for me. If I sent it to a friend, right, that friend would not be able to open it unless I set some type of permission that would authenticate them at that point in time.
Correct. Yes.
So if someone could steal my file, right, there's really no way. And I could act, and at any point, I'm assuming I'm controlling that access. So I could give you access for a day or a week, or I could automatically, I could have documents that automatically, effectively, they don't destruct,
right,
but they become impossible to open, right, without quantum cryptography or some amazing tool.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, that's the idea, right?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So in light of the fact that that's like fundamentally makes just a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Why is it not more common? Why are there not more people doing this with, I'm sure there's competitors in your space, right?
Yeah.
Why are more organizations not yet leveraging file level encryption? Because it would seem to me that doesn't sound very complex, and it doesn't sound very expensive, right? Because like you said, you're just maintaining either a directory or access to a directory, and a set of permissions and a key that's unique to each file. So it's not a massive amount of data in the cloud, right?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Many factors to it. I think one of them is, we're not a rip and replace, right? We're not in there to, tell all these CIOs and amazing CISOs that what they've been doing for the past 5 years is incorrect. We're there to say, hey, we can help augment and we could prevent data theft. And so why haven't they done this? The traditional perimeter security is there, it's embedded, the big guys are selling that. That's not going to go away. The ones that are fastly becoming our customers and the ones that reach into us are the ones that have either been breached or they have a major security concern regarding their sensitive IP in their organization, right? Beyond what is known for DLP, right? So honesty, right? And then the other is there's this change of mindset that has to occur in our sales cycle where people are confusing us with disk encryption versus file level encryption. And there's a myriad of things. That coupled with the fact that about 5 years ago, other companies have created file level encryption, but it's left a bad taste because the user experience is very arduous, right? You're using a separate tool to open the files, decrypt the files, edit the files, and then you have to re-encrypt the files and then send it. Sometimes all that activity at the kernel level and in the systems creates crashes also. I think those are all some of the factors that are there, but I think we're onto something. I think file level security is the future. The intelligence community had a call to arms May of 24, just last year, calling all the agencies for a data-centric security module, model away from the network paradigm. So that shift is happening. The adversaries, the bad actors, whether you're state-backed or not, they have way more advanced tools now, right? Like, as you know, AI-based polymorphic malware, right? Malware coming in, literally having to brush behind their footsteps, erasing all the traces, and then couple that with AI, and they're all coming after data, right? So I think it's inevitable for this shift to happen. I hope this podcast creates that shift or creates a catalysm.
So, I mean, as you mentioned to me, you thought this was right below Joe Rogan in terms of popularity and audience. So I mean, it's
absolutely.
I mean, if he can get Trump elected, I mean, I can certainly drive file level encryption forward, right? So it would seem to me that look, everyone wants to keep their data secure, and no one wants their data stolen, and then no one wants to be exploitationware, right? Like, hey, we're going to leak the data, right? So this solves that problem. But I think the other use case to me, which we're increasingly seeing, is how do we securely share data, right?
Yeah.
As we become more and more interconnected, right, our data is going in lots of different places.
Yeah.
And if you look at like certain use cases, like, law firms need to share their work product with their clients, right? But yet have a requirement and even some level of obligation of protecting that data adequately to the boundary. But even if the data gets stolen outside of their boundary, if it was the data they were working with them with, there's a dissatisfaction with the end client, right? You've got CMMC, right? Like how do we share, CUI in a way which is going to be compliant with the CMMC and NIST 800-171 regulations? Even stupid stuff like, and I see it all the time with like my CPA firm and sharing files, right? Like, how do you share files securely with your customers as a large CPA firm? It would seem to me like this solves a lot of these problems, right?
Yeah. I gotta tell you, and I'm not just blowing smoke, but I'm gonna really enjoy working with you. Yeah. Secure sharing is a big deal. The proliferation of the migration of content to the cloud in mass, and also remote work environments. Coffee shops, your car, whatever. I mean, it's only increased the threat landscape, right? The attack surface. With us, we ensure that wherever that data goes, it's locked down, and no matter where it is, whether you're working from home or you have your files that you're actively editing on the cloud. It's really simple. It's just pure file level security lockdown, and we even have even if your local document is opened, right? And if the administrator takes access off of you, those files will automatically close within about 7 to 8 seconds. So there's no way of actually copying files.
So it's actually got some kind of periodicity, right? Which is that's interesting.
We call it the data heartbeat, but
very cool
marketing term.
One of the things, so really, in full disclosure, you heard Tom mention this. I was recently introduced to Tom and his team through another person at CBIZ, which is where I work, and we're working with them on a project with a large law firm. So that's how I got introduced to Tom, and had a preliminary meeting with them a couple of weeks ago. I was like, okay, we really need to figure this stuff out because I think it's got a lot of applicability because we do a lot of work in law firms, and I think it's a good solution for law firms.
Awesome, thank you.
So the other thing which I think is important from our conversation that I understood, and maybe you could talk about the significance of it is a BYOK, bring your own key solution.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Why is that so important for people to understand?
Okay. If I had all the keys for all the customers in one environment, also known as a tenant, it would be a multi-tenant environment with all the master keys for the billions of documents that we're securing. That would be a one-stop shop for a hacker to come in and just exfiltrate, which would also be difficult anyway. But for every single organization, any mid-sized company has their own hardware security module, as you know, John. And it's through our dashboard, our deployment dashboard is super automated. The deployment of our product is super easy, and they actually integrate their hardware security module right off of a dashboard. And by doing that, it's completely zero trust. Only the customer and the policies that they've set inside their identity access management, only those people will have the rights to view and or edit those documents.
And real quick, for anyone that's not familiar with an HSM or hardware storage module, if you look up a company like Encipher or Chrysalis or somebody of that nature, they produce a hardware-based enclosure, right? A device in which your private keys, which are you, right? So the private key needs to be the most protected thing in the world. That private key actually lives inside of that hardware device and is, I would argue, is inaccessible to anybody that is not authorized to get to that key. So super strong protection for the key. If I recall correctly, you guys are using the in-place communication where you could actually embed code into what they call a secure execution environment, I think is the term that they use. So what's actually happening is you're doing that decryption, but the key is never being exposed, right? It stays within the HSM, which means that there's really no way for somebody to get to that key. And if you use a good HSM, you can deploy what they call NFM administrative schemes, where you need to have two of three or three of five administrators, sort of like the way the nuclear bombs work, right? You have to have multiple people working in concert to actually access or change a key, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Gosh,
So that's pretty cool.
You're like literally an encyclopedia.
I know a little bit about HSMs because that was like when Pivot Point Security was originally started. Our first major project was HSM supporting email for a major university. Okay. So I ended up doing a lot of work with Encipher back in those days. Really cool stuff what they can do. The other thing, which I think is the other benefit that you didn't mention, is the fact that if you had the key, you'd have the ability to read the files. I mean, so it's actually a win for you and a win for them because you have no exposure, right? As long as they protect their key, correct. You have a key, and without the other key, you can't do anything.
Yeah, and that lends itself into compliance as well, right? Because we not only secure the data, but we also meet the compliance criteria. You mentioned CMMC prior with CUI data. We have a secure sharing solution for CMMC that's pretty popular. The company cut its teeth on that with manufacturing customers. So
when you say secure sharing, is that the idea of effectively you're creating a CUI enclave, and then the third party can reach into the CUI enclave, can see the data, but can't download it, can't access it, and what that does is that solves a problem that a lot of, especially second tier CUI, CMMC need to be CMMC compliant people, is they need to flow down that requirement, right? Under the DFARS 252, 204, 7012 clause.
CMMC also law firms that are doing big bank audits. I'm not going to say who, but there are law firms and big accounting firms, because they don't trust the traditional data rooms anymore, right? Because you could download documents, you could create copies, you could send it everywhere. So they've been doing Zoom, screen sharing, 6 hours at a time. But we cut through all that because essentially the chain of custody, the originator will always have the ownership of that document. You're essentially leasing the files when you're sharing. You could put a time expiration on it. You could individualize it with people, and then they would have to be validated, and then they could get access to those documents.
So here's a question for you. So one of the things which we try to do with enclaving is we try to keep that data, like let them do like the VDI type interface, right? Where someone can see something, they can't screen cap it, they can't copy it, but in theory they could take a camera. A camera would be the only way that they'd be able to capture that. Can you accomplish the same thing? Or so as an example, if I have a file that's encrypted with your solution, and I give you access to it. Okay, when you open that file, it goes and looks you up and says, yep, Tom has been authorized to access this file. When you're inside of that file, do you have the ability to copy from it, or do you have the ability to screenshot it? Like you have
the originator. You can let the individual even download it, but it gives you a receipt that says, here's the chain of custody. It was downloaded at this time, location to this individual. We don't recommend that. But if you say view only, they cannot make any edits to that document.
And they wouldn't be able to copy or paste it. Okay, I got you.
Those functions don't work on the
keyboard. But to be clear, right? This isn't a case. So there's two use cases here. So let's make.
You could hand copy it, write it down, or
of course, or no one could stop somebody from taking their iPhone out of their pocket and doing it.
But we do prevent mass exfiltration, right?
Okay.
We prevent malware from going in and taking volumes of data.
Okay. And then talking about malware, right?
Yeah.
So you solve a problem with unstructured data,
Yeah.
right? Really, structured data is still
Yeah. That's
encryption and restriction needs to be done through the database tools, not through your
right.
tool, correct?
Right.
Okay, good. All right,
And
and then
we have APIs, framework developed for that. It's on our roadmap,
really,
specifically towards electronic health records.
hmm,
And that's a different ball of wax. But in a nutshell, what if we were able to intercept the queries coming directly out of the fields and encrypt that, right? I'll just seed on that aspect.
hmm,
But
that's interesting. Okay, I'll look forward to having that conversation when
yes,
you're ready to
sir.
have it. And then and I'm assuming that this wouldn't protect against ransomware, right? Because if somebody
We've been
released
told
ransom,
we're like the white hat version of ransomware. We were basically
no,
they're
I know that, but what I'm wondering about though is that so let's say I've got a file share,
yep.
old school file share,
Hmm.
with all of my files encrypted using your tool, right? Using file level encryption. If malware began to propagate to that drive, it would be able to encrypt those files on top of the encryption, and then I would no longer have access to them, correct?
That would be correct. Yeah, that
Okay.
would be
Okay.
correct.
All
Yeah,
right. Just trying to understand like
yeah.
the
That
field they
would
use
be
and what
correct.
it protects and what it
But what
doesn't.
they
That
could
makes
do is
sense.
roll back and get the original data. That would
Mhm.
typically happen.
If they had a backup,
But if
right?
they're ransoming the data itself, they
Mhm.
wouldn't have any. The data is ciphertext for those.
Right. So the bad news is that it's an availability risk
Yeah,
still, but it's no longer a confidentiality risk.
correct. I mean,
Okay.
our saying internally, we say, you could have a system breach, but you can't have a data breach. And some of our
Very
clients
cool.
have echoed multiple times that the reason they like what we have is because even if they had a breach, they don't have to report it because they essentially didn't have a data breach. So
Gotcha. So, but
water.
there, yeah, but we still have the risk. I'm assuming that the one risk which we can't manage as well
Yeah,
is if somebody steals my credentials,
right.
right? So, because there's no second factor authentication. I mean, you could have an Okta or Authenticator or whatever Microsoft, but technically, if somebody becomes me, then they're gonna have my permissions to the files even though they're encrypted.
Um, Not with FenixPyre. If somebody gets in with valid credentials,
Mhm.
um, they would not be able to open those files.
Why?
Because the individual files are encrypted themselves.
Mhm.
So, I mean, technically, yes, for a set period of time, but it won't be.
Yeah, it would be until somebody recognizes it and says,
Right,
"Hey,
right.
let's shut those off." So even if that person accessed the file, took that file, and went somewhere
Yeah,
with it,
yeah.
the minute that we determine so that would be kind of cool. Like part of our incident response process would have to be updated to address
Yeah,
that.
I'm very keen on identity access management solutions because I
Mhm.
think that's another area that needs disruption.
Yes.
There's an interesting company, Beyond Identity. A friend
Mhm.
of mine runs that. Um, you know, they do it based on device and all the vectors from those devices.
Yeah,
Not
I would have, that to be honest with you, like I had on really smart woman by the name of Anna Podletz. She's
mm,
at 1Password.
okay.
And she was a guru in passkeys before
Mm,
they bought her company.
wow.
But that's another thing which I'm a little like sometimes stuff just makes too much sense. And I sit here and I wonder why are we not like file
Yeah.
level encryption just makes sense to me,
Yeah.
right? And like intuitively. The other thing that makes complete sense to me is passkeys.
Yeah.
And I'm just like if you took passkeys and combined them with your solution,
Yeah.
like I mean that even someone who that there is no credential to steal,
Right. Right.
right? I mean, the likelihood of you having a security incident of significance combining those two technologies seems to me to be pretty damn low.
Yeah. And we have the ability to do that. And having dinner with the CEO,
Oh,
Beyond Identity next month.
beyond identity. Okay, are they big into like passkeys?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send that link over. Free
Yep.
promo for Beyond Identity. You owe me one, Jason. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd appreciate a Joe Rogan reference more than a John Verry reference, but I guess he's going to have to settle for the John
hey,
Verry
in our
reference.
space, you are the Joe Rogan of the IT world here.
All right, so I think we beat this up pretty good. And anything else? Anything else you'd like to point out?
Um, I mean, the rollout for our solution is you don't have to turn the organization upside down. You don't have to um, classify and label data and ask your employees to do the same. It's really simple. Most organizations know where their sensitive data resides. They sign up with us. They onboard via a dashboard. They connect to identity access management. All those rules apply directly to any of the files that they apply the security to. And it's really simple, and you just, activate it.
Is there a cost per file? Like, so isn't it, like, look, we all know
Very
that there
good
are
question. We're doing this.
certain documents that are,
Company. Yeah.
say that again?
Yeah, we are a for-profit company. So I'll highlight this. Compared to anyone in our field, we don't store the files, right?
Mhm.
So we don't have to pay anyone for storing the files. So that makes it cost effective. We have a revenue model that's based on volume of encryption. We charge as low as 10 to 5 cents per gigabyte, sometimes even lower, depending on the volume. And the average environment that we're protecting is about 350, I would say, terabytes. So it's 5 cents per gigabyte. And then we also put a ceiling on it, so it's not a creeping,
Mhm.
AWS type of faucet. It's
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, the reason why I was asking that was, uh, do we intentionally only encrypt certain files, right?
no,
Like, so
we
general purpose
store.
business files, or like like, it would seem to me like in a perfect world, I wouldn't get to a point where like, oh, the minute that we get into let's encrypt this, let's not encrypt this,
Yeah, that's
is where we introduce risk
we do it
based
by
on.
departments. We do
Okay,
it by departments. We start initially with the finance department, and then we roll into
human resources,
yeah.
yeah, anything around
Engineering
intellectual
firms have
property,
a
right,
certain network shared drive.
right.
They even have um, servers on the floor in manufacturing
Mhm.
that DLP can't go into. So we protect the files wherever they sit. It's unique for every company.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting,
that's pretty
interesting.
much. Yeah,
So
it's easy to deploy. It's low cost. It's volume of encryption plus user seats.
yeah, I would, I would, I, I'd like to see like how this works for us because so we have the same challenge everybody else does, right?
Yeah.
Specifically our group is ISO 27001 certified,
Yep.
and we go to like insane, like so. Not only are we, in like we keep files on Microsoft SharePoint,
Yep.
but what we do is we actually encrypt files with a client unique. Each client has a unique password that we have to manage, and we
Cool.
have a client unique password, and we encrypt all those files before they go up onto SharePoint. So that way,
Wow.
Microsoft's compromised, you can't get to it. And
Yeah.
even we live in the bigger CBIZ family.
Yeah.
CBIZ Pivot Point Security is the only people that know those passwords, and is the only, and we even restrict through security groups that even access outside of our group within the
Yeah.
11,000 person company that we're part of. Like, but it's a pain in the royal butt, and it's hard to enforce. It creates challenges with sharing files with clients. They lose the passwords, things of that nature. So,
Yeah.
um,
Those are our ideal customers. Those are the ones that have used it and they come to us because they're like tired of getting all the help desk.
So it seemed like, let me ask you. So again, now we have this workflow where files got to get up into SharePoint. Work product has to be in a particular folder because we don't want the client to have access to work product before it's actually ready. Then it's got to move from there to the deliverables folder. Then the client's got to be notified that their things are ready for delivery.
Yeah.
Et cetera, right? And it works, but it's kind of a pain in the butt.
Sure.
It would seem to me at this point,
and even for an IT professional, it's a pain in the butt.
yes. So it seemed to me with a product of this nature, right? File level encryption, whether yours or somebody else, if they do a good job, right? It would be the kind of thing where we'd be able to, you could send it via email because that's no longer a risk.
You know what I'm gonna do after this, or this week or early next week? I'm gonna give you a lab environment so you could,
All right.
have a go.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
And it would be an honor if CBiz took that on. It would be awesome.
Cool. We miss anything else, sir?
No, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. It's been an honor being here with you.
No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. If folks wanted to find out more about FenixPyre and file level encryption and some of the stuff that you guys are working on, how would they get in touch with you or the right people on your team?
Yes, go to FenixPyre.com, FenixPyre.com. My email is very simple, Tom, Tom at FenixPyre.com.
That's the privilege. That's the benefit of being the CEO, right? You can
You just have one.
You got.
I don't know if CEOs, I was joking around with my daughter because I'm like, there's two types of CEOs. There's the chief executive officer, and then there's the chief entertainment officer. That is the latter.
Well, listen, based on this podcast, I'm going to hope that you're the first. All right. So I actually did have one last question.
Yes,
Stupid
sir.
question.
Yeah.
FenixPyre. It's a weird name. What does it mean?
All right. So there's few things to it. It's a, it's a play on Phoenix.
I know what a pyre is, and I know what a phoenix is.
Yeah. So
is it literally a phoenix?
Firebird coming out of the ashes.
Yep.
Personally, I came up with that name because I got a divorce 7 years ago, and at some point, I'm like, I thought of myself as a phoenix coming out of the ashes. I'm flourishing in the air now, happy financially, emotionally, a little bit lonely at times, but that loneliness comes with running this company. So
isn't a pyre like a fire? Like isn't a pyre?
I think it's ashes.
It's ashes. Okay, I knew it had something to do. Flame and fire.
Old English language.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm a little bit of a Dungeons and Dragons freak, from back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of is a cool, name. If you look at any of the bad actors' names, it's like Tarantula, Oculi. We look like and smell like, a bad actor, but we're the good guys. We're going to prevent the guys from getting in.
All right, man. This has been fun.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
again.
You got it, man. Later.